You're static, meaning you're holding the position, and that while I'm static, it gives an opportunity for my opponent to be dynamic, which means movement, right? So the more he moves and the more I stay static, the more opportunity he has to either work his way around my grips, break my grips, or anything like that. So whenever you're playing guard, it's actually less beneficial for you to just stay still, trying to hold the position. It's actually a lot better for your defense long term if you're being aggressive, meaning I'm attacking and making him defend. Because every time I can make him take a step defensively or reposition his hands defensively or try and make posture defensively, that in turn is stopping him from attacking me, which is very important. So just holding is not enough. If I stay here all day, eventually he's going to find a way to break my grips and get through. Okay? So I need to take a more aggressive stance. And a few of the ways I'm going to do that is with an off balance based off using the lapel. There's about 3 ways to do this. I'm going to show you the first 2 right now, and then as we get further along into the attacks and off balances, I'll show you the third way. The first one being what looks like a spider hook, which is this one, right? We talked about this earlier, how we can use this to help keep him away or possibly stop him from throwing our legs to one side or the other. But it also serves as a very good leverage point for a extension movement, okay? An extension movement meaning I'm going to use my leg and extend it away from me to force him to take a step. Okay, so I've extended my leg and forced him to step closer to me than he would willingly be, right? He wants to be more of a neutral stance, legs further away in a safe position where he engages into my guard on his terms. But by being aggressive and doing an offensive movement, I can force him to engage into me in a position that he's more uncomfortable with. In this case, forcing him to take a step forward with his leg here. Now, to do this, I need to build leverage and get a fulcrum or leverage point with my free leg. So normally I'd be gripping either both hands on the lapel, like this, but usually when I switch to the spider hook, I like to go for a secondary grip on his pants or on his sleeve, or even on his other collar. Okay, either one, any of these gripping points will work. Pants is usually the best just because it's the easiest for you to reach to. Most of the time their foot is going to be close enough for you to grip onto the pants. So I grip onto his pants, and my left leg is going to plant on the mat. Now I don't plant too far underneath him or I'm not going to get a good wedge for my foot. I'm going to put my foot a little closer to my butt here. That way I have really strong hip force and I can use my whole posterior chain to force the step here. So I've off balanced him a lot here. So let's turn a little so you can see from this angle. So we're in this position, whether it's the stirrup, the underfoot, or the spider hook itself. Okay, I'm going to go to the spider hook. With my spider hook, you see how I'm bringing the lapel over the top of my foot? That's just a secondary measure to keep my leg in place. If I keep it on the outside, my foot is free to be passed this way if he pushes it or anything like that. But by bringing it over the top and in front of my knee here, this gives a little bit extra control if he does manage to try and do a throw by. So when you do your lapel spider hooks, you want to have your foot entangled slightly. Kind of looks like a lasso almost, but not quite the same. Just bringing it over the top. Then whether I got the sleeve or the pants, doesn't really matter. I'm here and I grip. My foot is going to plant either between his legs or all the way to the opposite side. Now I know this looks counterintuitive because, well, oh, what if you go straight to knee on belly or possibly straight to side control? The movement isn't done in 2 steps. It's not 1, 2. It happens all at once. So when I drop my foot, I need to also be extending to force a motion so that he never has an opportunity to drive to knee on belly. So sometimes when moves are taught 1, 2, 3, they're not necessarily steps. It's just for you to see that there's different movements involved in one dynamic movement. In this case, it's one dynamic movement. I prefer to keep my foot here between both his legs, but for more rotation and a longer step, if you bring it to the outside, you'll actually be able to take a bigger step and a potentially larger off balance, which can lead to other attacks. Okay? If I go in between his leg, it's a little less leverage and it requires a little bit more flexibility because now I'm bringing my leg upward instead of outward, right? This way I have a lot more force I can generate than if I go this way, because I can only bring my straight leg up so far this way before it starts stretching my hamstring. Whereas if I rotate further, I can really get a long extension and create more force on my off balance. And of course, again, to reiterate, the whole reason we're off balancing is not necessarily to sweep him, but to take him out of an offensive posture so he can't attack us. Because right now, we're focusing on learning how to play an open guard while having a lapel grip. So we always have the option to set up one of our lapel guards, whichever one you choose to set up at that moment. So I'm going to step way to the outside. At the same time, I'm going to extend my foot and force a step. Okay? From here, we have all sorts of things we're going to go into. X guard, single leg X. You can use setups to get to our worm guard, which we'll cover later on in the course. The second, actually we'll go into that next. So that's just the basic idea of the first leg extension for an off balance. So the next off balance is from the underfoot grip or underfoot post, whatever you want to call it. I have the open lapel in the same way, but this time instead of looking for the spider hook, which we just did, I'm looking for the underfoot hook here. So my foot, the bottom of my foot is facing the ceiling, and I'm getting leverage along the bottom of his lapel here. So right about around the part where the gis have this split in them, in the skirt, that's where I kind of want to put my foot. This creates a lot of tension underneath his armpit and wrapping around his back, how we talked about how the lapel controls around his back. So inadvertently, by having this grip high up on his shoulder, I'm controlling his shoulder and upper body as well as a little bit of his hip motion. So you can get a ton of leverage here, even more so than the spider hook. So I usually prefer to use this one for my off balances because I feel like it leaves me a little less open for counterattacks, as well as setting me up to a lot of squid guard options, as well as just any regular sweep I may want to do, which we'll go into in a little bit. But the first thing you need to notice is when I'm in the intermediary position and I come underneath like this, my body needs to rotate about 90 degrees. So I was facing him at first, but when you turn under, you really want to rotate like this and also switch the grip to the opposite hand. So if I'm holding it in my right hand, maybe grabbing a pant leg or something like this or a sleeve to help me control, when I start to turn, I want to switch my grip to my left hand. What this does is it's going to free my right hand, the hand nearer to him, to help me defend any attacks or potential movements he may try and make. So say he would try and bring his knee in or something like this. I just want to have my arm here free, so I have posting options, gripping options, and underhooking options here, okay? Usually the underhook is going to be your best friend in this situation, underhooking his leg like this, which will eventually lead into squid guard. But for now, if you were just playing open lapel guard without setting up any further grips, this is what it would look like. So, as I come underneath and switch to my left hand, I'm going to reach for an underhook, potentially, or just